right, we are recording.
All right, we want to take a look at some of the specific applications of using social media to not just create buzz, but create the sort of overall dynamics, branding, of persuasion, of messaging. And one of the best tools that I've found to do that is a tool called Twitworkz. Now, there's several other options on the market, but Twitworkz is at a super competitive price point. It also combines a couple of functions that you would have to go more than one place to accomplish. It's a very powerful platform. It's basically set and forget, which is really nice. And as you can tell by the name Twitworkz, it really focuses on Twitter. With that, I want to begin our discussion with Hugh, who's the product mastermind behind Twitworkz. You know, Hugh, thanks for joining us and being part of this ongoing conversation.
Hi, Garen. Thanks for having me on today. Happy to be here.
And I just want to launch with a basic question and proposition. We've been talking about how Twitter can be used to communicate with people of a certain affinity, a certain specific set of interests, likes, preferences. That's sort of a very basic takeoff point for marketing efforts. And looking at that, how can we use Twitworkz, which is this cloud-based platform that basically superpowers up Twitter efforts, to build that kind of audience and then communicate with them?
Right. Well, you know, I think there's something like 380 million people on Twitter. It's ridiculous. I mean, even more than, it's ridiculous the amount of people that are on Twitter. So the amount of also niches and topics, keywords, and interests is huge as well. So you can go and start following people, but if you don't sort of narrow down how you're going to follow people, then you can get a lot of people that are great people, but they're not really connected to your niche or your topic. So with this software, Twitworkz, we have the ability to basically target in on people who have used certain terms in their tweets or have got certain terms associated with their user profile or even in their username. And then we can actually not only just follow all those people that express interest in those topics, we can also find big influencers in the market who are specifically targeted to your niche or whatever niche you're in, and then we can go and sort of like steal all of their followers from them, so we can get a bunch of people in the same niche. And it's really quite responsive. It's pretty amazing. In fact, when I started running the software myself, I couldn't believe how effective it was. It was really crazy. That's why I decided to go ahead and put it out as a product, because I knew how helpful it was going to be for so many people, not just myself, but it was something that everybody could use. Because, Garen, you know, I've been working on Twitter since 2011, 2010 even. I had no idea what I was doing back in 2010 and 2011. I was trying to run a music business online at the time. And I hired a guy, or I got an offer from a guy actually who wanted to use my accounts to promote his own stuff, but his offer was that he would build my accounts for me in the niche that I wanted them built in, which at the time was like hip-hop and rap music, because I'm a music producer and I do services for people in that niche, among others. But so he basically grew two of my music-related accounts up to like 15 and 20,000 followers each over time. And then I was paying him $100 a month to do it. And the other caveat was that he, like I said, he was allowed to use my accounts to promote his stuff. So I was paying him $100 a month to grow my accounts, and he was also getting the benefit of reaching the audience with his ads and stuff, which I didn't really know how to do at the time. But I paid this guy for a couple of years, and he grew these accounts, and I kind of learned from him what it was all about. And so he's out of the picture now, but having had that experience with him, I realized that it's not really all that easy to build a following in a niche, and especially doing it by hand. So it really helps to have some analytical tools and some automated tools to help you to do that, and to specifically zero in on people by their interests, which is what Twitworkz does now. I think you can see my screen here. You can see my screen, right?
Nope, I've got me and I've got you. I don't have a screen, so.
Oh, okay. Let me share my screen then. This is weird, so I hope the recording. I've been recording for a while, but I just shared my screen for the first time. So can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the dashboard, right? Or the settings within.
Yeah, the settings area. So hopefully the recording will have gone okay, and we got the first part and the second part. If not, we can do it again. But here we go. So you can put your keywords in here, and also negative keywords, so you can stay away from people in certain areas if you want to, and then you.
Yeah. That's something that the other tools on the market don't feature. I'll just say,
right?
Yeah, there's a couple of high-profile tools, a couple free ones, for example. They don't contain this negative keywords feature, and if you're trying to micro-target, or you're just trying to, you've got a niche that's maybe difficult to define. The keywords feature is just a killer ad.
Yeah. Well, that was actually a customer request after we started running it. So that's just one thing that I do, is I listen to my customers and I try to help them to accomplish whatever they want to do. So some of them were telling me that they were getting, some porn accounts attached to their search, so we figured we better put in a negative search. So we've got that in there. And now we've got another very cool feature, which is we call follow followers. And the best way to do this, and we do have a search built in, which is really good, but Google's the best search engine. So let's say just if I wanted to get, I'm not really doing hip hop anymore, but let's just say if I want to go cite Twitter on Google.com, and then just say like hip hop, and then I'm going to come up with maybe, who knows, are we hoping to find some of the bigger influencers? Like, let's see, this has 122,000 followers. Okay, that's a lot. So what we can do now is I can just grab this username right here. And you can also do this in the Twitworkz search by itself, but Google is helpful because you can look, pull right to the top the biggest influencers. And we can do that too, but kind of get more on Google. Google is just the best search engine. So then let me choose one of my hip hop accounts here. And just take a second to load this. So I could also search that name in our search function, and you get a lot of other names that way. We got 3 different ways to search.
And let me point out something to watchers here, is that you've got dedicated Twitter accounts for a multitude of niches. So rather than
That's right.
Twitter account,
you can have multiple accounts, and they're all separated, so that they all run separately and they don't mix it up, but they all go by niche. So let me just finish this little thing I was doing here. So what I'm going to do is match this string to a specific user in the system, this hip-hop that I just found on Google, and see they come up right here. And you see they've got 122,000 followers, which is a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and click steal here. And now what's going to happen is that this account will start following all the 122,000 people that are following this guy. And there's going to be a percentage of them that are going to follow me back. And if you get between, like, say, 10% to 20% following you back is about natural. So you build your following and and you build them with people that are specific to the niche that you're trying to work on. And you can do different experiments and see who follows you the best or who's the most responsive and all kinds of things. And then you can end up with lots of data on it as well. Like, this is actually a German Shepherd's account, but it's not the hip hop account, but it's my niche of dogs, So what I've done here is you can't see where I could select the range, but it goes back to April where I had 0. And starting then, I started following people, and then I got 600, 700 followers in about a month. But all of these people aren't following me, so I just start unfollowing them. And we get back down here, and then I start following.
The unfollowing is
Yes.
done automatically by the software, right? You don't have to
Absolutely.
go in and select stuff. And again, that's another huge advantage of this platform. The other
It's pretty amazing.
other options out there allow you to do this often manually, and I've done this to build other accounts, and it is a serious pain in the ass. This is another game changer for using Twitter right here, what you're seeing on this graph. And
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. The other thing to note is that if you look at the growth line of the followership for Hugh's German Shepherd's account here, it looks natural. It's a very, sort of organic approach, and it's very, very effective. And this will keep you from getting your Twitter account banned. In fact, everything that Hugh's built into this, including a lot of the safeguards, are just really, and I've now been using this platform for a while on actually one of my personal accounts. It is
Cool.
very, very well developed. This is the smartest approach I've seen yet.
Well, thank you so much. I have put in quite a few tears and drops of blood and sweat into making this work since I launched it back in February, and definitely stayed up a lot of nights making sure the algorithm was doing what it was supposed to do and doing what people wanted. And when we started, I didn't really understand how powerful the unfollow thing is. But if you take a look at this graph, this is right from the beginning. I had 1 follower when I started, and I started following 19, and then I started running Twitworkz. You see we had a pretty parabolic rise in the amount of people I'm following, but what happens is you get this steady upward growth of the people that are following you. And you get to a certain point, you say, okay, all these people are following me, so I'm just going to unfollow them. And then when the two lines converge, then you can start following more. And then between the time that I stopped unfollowing and started following again, I've hit, let's see, 686. So I put almost 100 new followers in just a couple of days just from doing that reversal here. So that's the idea, is we just keep building up the followers and then kick to the curb, the people that aren't following you. So you end up with a good following. We also have this analytics section, which is actually an add-on. So it's a little bit more extensive data about the same account. It takes a minute to load too, because it's a lot of data. But from that point, then you can see a little more granularity into what's going on in your account. So this will take just a second, especially in GoToWebinar. There's a little bit of a bandwidth suck.
And again, this is not accessible anyplace else. If folks out there have seen my videos on Twitter analytics and actually using third-party researcher data on the dynamics of tweets and retweets. This is like the whole next level to being able to understand on Twitter. So,
right, because once you get this, then you've got all this different data here about your account. I don't have a lot of people retweeting or mentioning me, but you can see the hashtags most used. Now, when you do go, though, to the mentions section, it should load a little bit more quickly. Then you can actually see everybody that's talking about you. And they do. I mean, it's really surprising. And if you're using Twitter with an automated solution like this, these are the kinds of things that go under the radar unless you have analytics to check it out. So you can see here you've got these active users are mentioning me. You can go down. You can even see the actual tweets where people mention the account handle and retweeted mentions, and so this is where you can make decisions about getting back to the people. So that's kind of important when you have an automated solution. Like I said, a lot of the stuff you don't see what's going on socially, so this analytics helps you to zero in on people that are actually reaching out to you. And I will be building in some more controls into this so we can tweet back at them and stuff like that. Right now it's just showing data. But pretty cool. I did build this for myself after the experience that I explained to you over the last 6 to 7 years with Twitter, and my experience with it, I realized what was needed, so that's what I built. There you go.
And that is sort of the to me, when you're looking at internet marketing tools, that's always the key. If somebody is building the tool from, Jump Street for their own use because they're solving their own problems, you're going to get a quality tool. Unlike a lot of stuff in the internet marketing sphere where people are just throwing, they see a hot trend and so they jump in and try to develop a tool or a plugin or whatever. And it's not really, they're just bandwagon jumping on something that they think they can profit upon quickly. This is really a different approach, which is sort of an iterative, building a daily use tool. That's what that's why we're sitting here doing this. This is a tool that fits what I need done on this platform. And it also is a tool that, more than anything else, looking at the, previous webinar or the ongoing, if you're catching it in that form about the Russian active measures campaign, this really brings home probably, you're seeing almost exactly what they are doing. And you now have, you have access to what, the Russian FSB or GRU is using to hack elections, and I use that term broadly, using it to influence and move message all over the world. And that's really what Hugh has put together here, is the ability to take that tool set and make it available for any internet marketer, any brander, anybody that's trying to do persuasion out there.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to mention the tweet module in here. I've been talking about the following builder, but this thing also comes with an automated content solution. This one doesn't have too many in it, but you can add a YouTube playlist, a YouTube channel, an RSS feed from any blog or website, or you can do your own custom tweets. And you can see is if you put a YouTube channel or playlist here, it will sort of pop off videos every now and then, depending on the frequency that you set, and post them on your Twitter feed it'll grab one of these phrases to put it, or you can edit this as well to put your own phrases in here. And you can put your own hashtags to be randomized with that content as it goes out.
And so
RSS. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
What Hugh's done here. I mean, you can spin the text. I'm assuming you can spin the hashtag as well.
No, what it does is it picks 2 or 3 at random. So you put in
Okay.
like 5 or 6, and then it will spin them out of that.
And
But you
then
don't have to use syntax for that. I think it's just the hashtags with a space in between. I gotta check that.
Yeah, maybe you could add a tooltip there above that explaining that. This is why it's so much better than, you know, your tweet jukebox or what I've been doing with literally I don't know how many different accounts, either using SendWire or IFTTT. With SendWire, you can do some things where you can sort of nest them, and it will pick one out of a certain number of accounts to retweet something. Or with IFTTT, you're sending literally every tweet. It's very mechanical.
Right.
You look at that, it's clear that that's not natural. What you've done here is introduce that sort of natural randomness into the flow, and that's key. I mean, that's going to mean that your account is going to be much safer because you're not looking like a robot, and B, your chances of getting retweets and other sort of organic message carrying is going to be much higher. And you know, the thing that strikes me about this is, you know, one of the things that was so interesting in looking at what the Russians were doing, where they were targeting influencers. They were literally tweeting at Donald Trump, and then on occasion he would retweet what's basically was fake news. It was news stories that were either ginned up or spun up on Sputnik or Russia Today, and he would actually read. And to me, you don't have to do this with fake news. You can you tweet at influencers using a multiple range of accounts with this sort of natural variability. That is going to, you know, that is money.
You can do this. Let me just jump in because you use a custom URL here. Let me just, instead of editing one, like just add it. So if you use the custom URL, you can then put spun text in here, or you could actually put, hey, at real Donald Trump. Check this out, and then you can have like some other spun text here, and then you could have like a video or a link to something over here, and then you could have hashtags in here. So if you want to tweet at somebody regularly, you can do it with this, right? I mean, if you want to influence an influencer, that you could just set this up, and then you can set this to post regularly, post a lot, or occasional. And so you could have like a different tweet going out to the same person if you want to on a regular basis, but it will be unique because of the spun aspect of it. You can also spin inside of here if you want to.
And this is amazing. So you could set up, say, 20 different Twitter accounts. And each one has their own API. And you could target a Kardashian. And imagine you're an e-com. And you want to get that Kardashian to tweet out your message about your product or your storefront to their millions of followers. I don't know. I don't know, because I've been working on this for quite a while. I don't know of another single tool that will allow you to do this.
That's amazing.
I mean, there's just not a way to do it. I mean, even combining SendWire and IFTTT and variable RSS feeds. And Hugh, I've done stuff. I've got a tool of my own where I can create an RSS feed, from any group of URLs with spun text, and then I can and I host those RSS feeds myself. I can then take those RSS feeds and run them into.
Just put it right in here.
IFTTT, but then every single one comes out. But what you can do here is you can literally set up your own jukebox within Twitworkz with your own RSS feed. And this is just the killer app for doing this kind of stuff.
And you can like channel it out specifically by niche, by account, so it's very, very controllable. You can really do some surgical precision with this if you just strategize. It's so versatile. I'm really glad, Garen, that you see the potential in this. That's fantastic. Really, really awesome.
So that's the tweet content piece, and we've gone over the follower and unfollow piece. Is there anything else? I mean, you've got some training built into this platform, which is nice. And I'm going to be talking about this in my own membership over the next couple of months. Some very specific case studies using Twitworkz. What else do people need to know about this?
Well, you did mention the training, so we do have a basic training, just goes over kind of the mechanics. I've done a few upgrades since I've done this, but this will get you started. We do offer an additional training series that I call Twitworkz Mastery, and we're already in the middle of the live session, so customers can get in the live session while it's on, or you can probably just get the recordings afterward for less, for a pretty decent price. And it's definitely worth it because I go over the strategies that I know of and some other things like how to build your email list using this, how to build your retargeting list doing this, best strategies for getting the right followers from the influencers that you need, and a lot more, but that's sort of some of the things that we cover in the training. So it's worth it. You can just get Twitworkz and say, okay, I already know all the ins and outs of this, so I'm just going to implement it, which is cool. Is if you kind of understand Twitter strategies and stuff, then you can use this to great benefit. But if you need a little bit more guidance, then I think my Twitworkz Mastery course is very good and not too expensive at all.
Right. And again, that's what folks really need to look for. I mean, it's a great tool, but anybody that's attempted to do marketing on Twitter, unless you've got a gigantic budget or a large team, you're probably failing. It's just not. It's not built from the ground up for marketing. But what Hugh's put together here is the exact tool set that you need to move into making the platform work for you in marketing. You're going to be able to target an audience, grow an audience, and then put the content out there. And you now have the ability to target influencers. And that, we try to reverse engineer what the Russians are doing with their active measure campaigns. And that's all that they're doing, right? They're analyzing and creating an audience and creating lookalike avatars and then targeting influencers and just regular old folks. But they are using a very sophisticated set of strategies, and basically Hugh's given you probably a better platform than what GRU or FSB has to do this with. For all we know, they probably have hacked into Hugh's system or appropriated it for their own use.
They bought a membership. They're using it.
But obviously, if you're a foreign intelligence service and you wanted to do this, this would be the way to go. And we already know that's where some of the tools in the market have actually come from. With Browsio, for example, I think the genesis of Browsio is probably with the Israeli Defense Forces. Yeah,
you think like they have people sitting in a room somewhere and they just sit there and watch how people browse, like, oh, look what they're looking at. They just whatever's on the screen just goes by them. Probably that Browsio.
Yeah, that is, I know from some of the work that I've done overseas. We pitched some folks on sort of the counter-extremist stuff in the Balkans in Europe. And almost certainly, I mean, if you're looking at scaling up, either tracking jihadis online or doing counter messaging with social media, this is the exact tool set you would use on Twitter. So, if you combined Twitworkz with some smart work on Facebook, you probably are able to cover most of the ground that's out there. And I will say, I mean, if you had a platform that could do this, that actually work with Instagram, you'd be great too. And that's sort of.
Well, I'm actually working on Instagram and a Pinterest, to basically the exact same app for both of them. And there are certain obstacles. Twitter has really turned around and made it easier for developers to do this if you know what you're doing. I understand Instagram recently kicked a lot of bots to the curb and people lost their whole businesses over it. So I'm not rushing into either one of these things, but as I did with Twitworkz, Twitworkz is 100% Twitter compliable. I mean, it's completely complies with what they say you should do. And so, if you play in the sandbox too hard, Twitter is going to say, okay, well, you can't play in the sandbox for 24 hours, and then they let you back. So they're not banning you, but if you push too many files and stuff, they just say, okay, that's enough for today. But you're still within the framework of what they allow, with Twitworkz. There's nothing in Twitworkz that's going to get your account banned. We've had a lot of accounts going through Twitworkz, and a couple of people have had banned accounts, so they've come to me and said, what happened? And I've researched it, and it turns out they were doing what you talk about, which is they're trying to influence politics and stuff, and they're just too far on the left or on the right, and Twitter is manually blocking those accounts. But 99.9% of the accounts that we have, they're just totally fine. No problem, no shutdown, no nothing. And only just if Twitter said, well, if you only have 200, if you're only following 100 people, and then you try to follow 1,000 people in one day, it's going to say, oh, that doesn't look good. Well, we're going to cut you off for 24 hours. But this is the only kind of thing that we come up against with Twitworkz. So if you use your strategy, reasonably, just use reasonable numbers. Like if you start with 0, like I showed you, I did. And I just was adding maybe 30 or 40 new follows per day for the first month. It builds up fast. So you don't come in here with a sledgehammer. You try to do surgical precision. It works great, and Twitter doesn't mind at all.
And you've got the speed limits built into Twitworkz. They're actually
absolutely. You choose in your settings. We say, how many do you want to follow or unfollow per day, and how many do you want to do each time around? Because it's like approximately. We run it approximately once per hour. It's not exact, but so it just checks, okay, so how many have you done today? Have you done enough? Have you done too much? Do we stop for today and wait till tomorrow? We've got all that built in. It's all built in.
And that's something that no other tool out there has. And that's, I've experimented with the other tools. They just don't do that. And so you do run it. I mean, the Tweepies of the world, they don't have that granularity. Plus, you're doing crap manually, which sucks unbelievably.
Let me tell you another drawback to those other programs that you don't have with Twitworkz is most of those Twitter software is something that you have to download to your computer and install on your computer, and a lot of them are only Windows, so they're exe files. So not only do you have to go through all that and then set it up on your computer, but you have to run your computer 24 hours a day with this thing sucking up bandwidth all day long, 24 hours 7. So with Twitworkz, it's completely 100% built in cloud-based servers. So all you do is log in and do the settings, and then you turn it on, and then you go home. And you can turn off your computer for a week if you want. You don't have to come back. I do suggest that you check in every few days and make little tweaks and see what's going on and stuff. But it's not really necessary. So that's a really huge, absolutely huge benefit, because I've tried all those other software too, and believe me, if you have to run that stuff on your own machine, it really is awful. And now also, a lot of them, they force you to use proxies and stuff. You don't have to use any proxies or anything with our system. So
yeah, this is
we may add that when we do like direct messaging. We might have to add a proxy for that, but we're working up to that. But sorry.
It's great. It's, you know, the way I've been using it, it's essentially set and forget. I need to, what we just talked about in terms of the content module, need to go back and look at and see some of the things. You know, right now I'm in the account building mode. My wife's got a project we're going to add to it tonight, and probably some other things, and start building out niches that we're interested in. And then, you know, for us, I mean, my initial Twitter stuff has always been about building traffic to my news sites. That's, you know, that's where I'm at. Where I start.
This is great for that too. I mean, all you have to do, you can make another account, even sort of a throwaway account if you want, and just build a following in the niche, in the news niche that you're in, and then put your news website RSS feed into the tweet content, and you'll just drive all those people to the website.
Right. And that's one of the most powerful, I think, long-term strategies to use. And then you can, once you've got people that are used to going to your website, then you can start engaging them in other ways. Once you capture them there, you can try to move them into it.
I'll tell you what, I have this drip going out to my German Shepherds, and I have other ones, but this one in particular, it's just building an email list like crazy. Just putting it out to people.
That's got to be a great tool. I mean, that's...
Yeah, it's pretty good, man.
So, all right. Well, let's wrap it up there. I don't know how long we've been going, but this has been great. I hope that folks can see the power here, and you can, you know, follow up on my Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/novelcognition. We'll be talking about this here, and I'll put in some information where you can harass Hugh probably, but strongly suggest, you know, if social media is part of your internet marketing strategy, this is really a must-have tool, and it covers the bases better than anything else I know of. So I want to thank Hugh for his time this morning. And it's early for him. He's apparently not a morning guy, even though he's in Florida and I'm in Colorado.
Well, you know, I've been a professional musician for years and years, so my active time is usually in the evening, so it kind of just got ingrained into my metabolic rhythm, you know, but it's the way it is. But I'm great. I'm glad I got up early. This has been a great call. I really thank you for your interest, and thank you for your support. And anything I can do to help you or any of your listeners, just everybody reach out to me.
All right. Fantastic, Hugh. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Garen.